Imagine a car that looks like it belongs in a luxury showroom, packs cutting-edge tech you'd expect from Tesla, yet costs less than half the price. That's exactly what we're looking at today with a brand new Xiaomi SU7, China's bold entry into the EV market. But is it just hype? Or does this $45,000 sedan truly have what it takes to compete with the big names? Stick around, because by the end, you might see this car and its rivals in a whole new way. Xiaomi might be a name you recognize from smartphones and smart gadgets, but now they're stepping boldly into the automotive world with their very first car, the SU7. Designed to grab attention in the booming EV market, this sleek sedan is aimed directly at drivers who want Tesla-level tech without the Tesla-level price. At around $45,000, it's positioned to challenge not just American brands, but also established European and Japanese players. The big question is whether Xiaomi's tech expertise can really translate into a world-class driving experience. In a moment, we'll dive into design, features, and performance to find out. Now, let's get into what makes this launch so exciting. The Xiaomi SU7 doesn't just show up as another electric sedan. It arrives with a bold promise: premium performance at a price point that feels almost too good to be true. First, the design. At a glance, the SU7 looks sleek and aerodynamic, with smooth, flowing lines that wouldn't look out of place next to a Porsche Taycan. Xiaomi clearly studied what works in modern EV styling and added their own twist. The front fascia is low and aggressive, while the profile is clean, with frameless windows and flush door handles that glide out with a touch. It's a car that makes you pause on the street, not because it screams for attention, but because it whispers refinement. Step inside, and the influence of Xiaomi's tech DNA is impossible to miss. The cabin is dominated by a massive central display, bright, fluid, and seamlessly connected to Xiaomi's smart ecosystem. Imagine hopping in after work and having your smart home adjust the lighting and music before you even leave the driveway. There's also a crisp digital cluster behind the wheel, plus a head-up display that keeps key info right in your line of sight. Even the smaller touches, like wireless charging pads and premium recycled materials, remind you this car was built to impress a tech-savvy generation. But design is just one part of the story. Performance is where things get even more interesting. The SU7 comes in both rear-wheel and all-wheel drive variants, with the top model pushing out acceleration numbers that rival the Tesla Model 3 performance. We're talking 0 to 60 in around 3 seconds, blisteringly quick for a sedan at this price. And thanks to a carefully tuned suspension, Xiaomi is aiming for a balance between sporty handling and comfortable daily driving. On paper, that makes it not just a commuter, but a car that actually begs to be driven hard on the weekend. Range is another big talking point. Xiaomi claims the SU7 can deliver well over 400 miles on a single charge in its higher-spec versions. Now, as always, real-world numbers may differ, but if the official figures hold up, that places it firmly among the top players in the EV space, and at a fraction of the cost. Fast charging is also here, with the promise of adding hundreds of miles in under half an hour at compatible stations. Of course, no car is without its weak spots. While Xiaomi has nailed the futuristic tech and aggressive pricing, questions remain about build quality and after-sales support. Unlike Tesla or established automakers, Xiaomi doesn't yet have a proven global service network. And while the cabin tech feels futuristic, some early testers have noted that software polish could use a bit more refinement. These are growing pains for a new automaker, but they're important details to keep in mind. So, we have a car that looks premium, drives like a serious contender, and undercuts rivals on price. But can it really live up to the hype once you put it through real-world testing? Well, that's where things start to get very interesting. In just a moment, we'll look at how the SU7 stacks up against its closest competitors, and there are a few surprises waiting. And here's the moment we've all been waiting for. How does the Xiaomi SU7 actually feel once the wheels hit the road? Numbers and specs are one thing, but real-world driving can make or break a car. The first push of the accelerator is shocking in the best way. There's no lag, no hesitation. The SU7 surges forward with a punch of instant torque that pins you to the seat, reminding you this isn't just a budget-friendly EV. It's a performance machine. The steering is sharp and responsive, giving you confidence as you carve through corners. It doesn't feel like Xiaomi's first attempt. It feels like they've been refining cars for years. But here's where it gets really interesting. Stack it against a Tesla Model 3 Performance or even a BMW i4, and the Xiaomi doesn't just hold its ground. In some areas, it actually edges ahead. Ride comfort is smoother over rough roads. Cabin noise is impressively hushed, and the interior feels more like a tech lounge than a stripped-down EV. This is where Xiaomi's expertise in consumer tech pays off. The integration between the car, the software, and your daily digital life feels seamless in a way Tesla still hasn't fully nailed. Of course, it's not flawless. Push it hard for extended stretches, and you'll notice the suspension still has room to mature, and some of the software features need a touch more polish. But the fact that a first-generation car is already brushing shoulders with, and sometimes surpassing, industry leaders is nothing short of remarkable. So the big question, is the Xiaomi SU7 just an impressive debut, or is it a true game-changer? That's what we're about to unpack in the final verdict, and the answer might just surprise you. So after putting the Xiaomi SU7 through its paces, here's the bottom line. This is not just a promising first attempt. It's a serious contender in the EV world. On the plus side, you're getting sleek, head-turning design, a tech-packed interior that feels like a natural extension of your digital life, and performance numbers that rival, and in some ways beat, established players like Tesla and BMW. Add in a range north of 400 miles and a price tag around $45,000, and the value equation is hard to ignore. For buyers who want cutting-edge features without stepping into luxury car pricing, the SU7 makes a compelling case. That said, it's not perfect. Build quality still needs time to prove itself, and Xiaomi's lack of a large-scale U.S. service network is a valid concern for long-term ownership. Early adopters may find a few quirks in the software, and while the driving dynamics are fun, traditional automakers still hold a slight edge in refinement. So, who is this car really for? If you're a tech-savvy driver looking for something fresh, futuristic, and wallet-friendly, the SU7 could be a game-changing option. If you prioritize proven reliability, brand prestige, or a nationwide support system, you might want to keep a cautious eye on Xiaomi's next moves before jumping in. But make no mistake, this launch sends a clear signal. Chinese automakers aren't just knocking on the door of the U.S. market. They're ready to reshape it. The Xiaomi SU7 shows that affordable EVs don't have to compromise on style, performance, or innovation, and that could push the entire industry to raise its game. So now I'll throw it back to you. Do you think the Xiaomi SU7 has what it takes to challenge Tesla on American roads? Or is this just a flashy newcomer that won't stand the test of time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth car breakdowns, and share this with a friend who's curious about the future of EVs.